Welcome back to another episode of Let's Finally Grow. I'm your host, Ariana, and we back, baby. We back, we growing. Yeah. I took some time off, some R&R for the holidays. I just needed like a little reboot for my energy. Some self-care, some self-love, some family time, all those things that the holidays are supposed to offer us, whatever that means. But I figured that anyone who was listening to this was probably doing the same, and we needed a break from each other. We needed some space. All that matters is that we come back together every single time. And here we are for the last day of the year. I'm recording this on the last day of the year. It'll come out a couple days after. But how cool is that? Like, this episode obviously is going to be about New Year's, and it's the last day of the motherfucking year. If that isn't being present in the moment, I don't know what is. So let's talk about it. Something this past year definitely taught me, or that I learned. I don't know how a year would teach me this, but I learned this past year is presence. It is such a hard fucking thing to accomplish. Like, to be present in a moment is beyond difficult. We are so consumed by the past, by the future. And I mean, it's much better to be consumed by the future than the past. But then, like, the goal is to be present in the moment. Be grateful for what you have and live in the moment, because the past is making you fucking anxious and the future is making you fucking anxious. And really, the only thing you can control, and that should define your mood, what you're doing, is what you can do in this very second, okay? We just started off this episode philosophical, so deep, so on brand. I remember last New Year's, I just had the only feeling I really felt was that I wish that the year prior I devoted myself to myself, devoted my time and energy into me, into my podcast, into my brand. And 2024, that year, I mean, it was a clusterfuck. Like, so much shit went down that there was no space for me to devote anything to myself, because it was a massacre. It was insane. And I'm just feeling really, really proud that that's how I felt last year. I wish I had done that. And then that's exactly what I did for this year. I spent this past year devoting every second that I had to myself. And that sounds dreamy, right? That sounds nice. Like, oh, yeah, she worked on herself. It was so ugly. It was so gross, so ugly. There were moments where I didn't think I could go on. I'm being so dramatic, but there were really, really intense moments. One being when you are going to grow, when you are going to focus on your growth and you are actually going to take it serious, it is not pretty. Growth is sitting with so much discomfort that you have been avoiding for maybe your entire life, who knows how long, and working through it. Like, you're no longer running from these emotions. You want to grow, you want to make changes. You don't want the same patterns to repeat themselves. Well, you're going to sit with whatever uncomfortable emotions you have been avoiding, and you are going to grow through them. And it doesn't even make sense, like, how you grow through them, because you just have to sit with them. And then it's like, okay, you felt it enough. The time is up. Now you can learn and think differently and not have that growth pattern or that avoidance pattern anymore. It doesn't make sense. I've spent so many moments crying my eyes out this year, just laying in bed, crying my eyes out, feeling like the intensity would never stop from growth. And then eventually, there's a smile on my fucking face. And now, I went from someone who like rarely cried, rarely broke down. Like, I think I was just honestly very numb to life, to now I'm someone who is watching shows that I know will make me cry because I just want to feel things. If that's not growth, I don't know what is. Now I'm leaning in towards the feelings instead of running away from them. It doesn't mean that they feel great now. I just know that if I'm avoiding feeling something, then I'm not going to get to where I want to be in life. And I think that the strangest part of it all for me from this past year, at least, is that all of the growth that I did was completely internal. Like, I did not see tangible results for anything that I was putting all of my time and energy into. It was changing everything inside of me to create better outcomes. And I just still don't know what those better outcomes are going to be. We're going to find out in 2026. But I do think, I had this thought earlier, that for manifestation, there are so many unclear descriptions of it. But I think that what manifestation now means to me is becoming the person that you want to be. You don't snap your fingers and that happens. It does not happen overnight. It takes a lot of work, and that person that you're becoming has the things that you want. It kind of makes sense. So if you want to manifest a specific kind of lifestyle, being a certain kind of person, you have to put in the work to become that person. You have to put in whatever growth into yourself. You have to look into whatever you've been avoiding, and you have to overcome to become this version of you. And there is so much work that is really not talked about behind the scenes before you can ever start to see things in like the 3D world, like in front of your face. And I think that is probably one of the biggest reasons that people don't take manifestation seriously. People think that they don't have the time to devote to themselves to create the life they want, be the person they want to be. But I don't have any more time than someone else. Like, we all have the same amount of time. It just matters how we utilize that time. And I spent this past year not really having fun. I've talked about this a lot, being boring, focusing on myself. And I can say that I feel the most me I have ever felt in my life, if that makes any sense. Because I also do think that when we're manifesting becoming the person that we want to be, we want to become that person, like the highest version of ourselves. We want to become the best version of us and declutter everything that we've allowed to define us over the years that is stopping us from feeling good about ourselves and feeling connected to ourselves. So I don't feel like a whole new person. I feel like I am Ariana motherfucking Cantor up in this bitch, about to get 2026 and make it her bitch. Boom, 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 boom. Another thing, another thing. This is the first time in my life I can confidently say that I am going into a new year not wishing for a whole new life, not trying to run a whole new strict program when it comes to working out and goals and all of that. Like, I have managed to work on everything I wanted for my New Year's resolutions. I have worked through them. all year long, baby. And now I get to continue to work on them. Going into 2026, we can enhance, we can add, but pretty much I'm going the same direction. And it makes me wonder, this probably has always been the direction that I've wanted to go. I've just allowed myself to get distracted over the years. Like I set these goals, they're probably the same goals every single year, but then I get distracted and lo and behold, we are feeling like shit at the end of a year and trying our best to reinforce whatever fucking goals that we've always had in the next year. It makes sense. I think that this year I just had to take so much time for myself, like a ridiculous amount of time, an amount of time that made me truly so uncomfortable. Like there were nights this past year where I sat in my bedroom Friday nights, Saturday nights, holidays, like big days that normally I would have to go and do something or I would feel like I had no life. I made sure that I had no life. And I also think the universe helped me out a bit too. Like when there were times that maybe I would have gone out, the universe would be like, plans canceled. Friends don't want to fucking hang out with you. Like you don't have the funds for it today. And I would be forced, whether it was me, whether if it was the universe, whatever, forcing me to sit alone and feel my discomfort. The one thing I can recognize now that making me sit with my discomfort, like all of the time and energy I sat with myself, made me recognize how much more I want out of my life. Like I don't want to go and do the same thing every weekend and, just live life in this constant repetitive cycle. I don't want to feel stuck. I don't want to feel like there's anything that I can't do with my life. And sitting by myself and not having anything to do forced me to like want more, dream bigger. How do you get there? Like you're not happy where you're at and you don't have the comfort of these plans distracting you constantly. How do you get there? You're going to figure it out because you're bored at home and you're not comfortable. This is what I'm talking about, sitting with your discomfort. Now I feel like going into this next year, I don't have to sit by myself as much as I did. I feel like I have learned so many lessons and I have gotten so real about what I want that now I don't have to worry about being as strict with myself because I don't think it would be easy for me to fall back into the habits that I once had. I think that my vision is pretty clear after a year of devoting myself to what the fuck I want and actually forcing myself to follow through with it, which is a beautiful thing because in those moments where I sat there bored, uncomfortable, wondering when things would actually happen in my life that I was working towards, that was just for the time being. Like, and I heard that, like, I would hear where in other stories of like podcasts, YouTube videos, books that I read and other people's stories, like there's always going to be a period of time that you have to go through to prove to yourself, prove to the universe, whatever it is, that like you're serious about changing your life and you just have to go without before you go with. It's a part of the process to change your life. It is just for the time being. Like, I feel like there were so many moments where I was so dramatic, thinking that my life was stuck forever. But thank God I had those moments because my life wasn't stuck forever. I was trying to I was trying to change the fucking narrative of my life and not have it be the same cycle. And I couldn't do the same things and expect different outcomes. I also had to take so much time with myself to get clear on what I want and what I'm willing to work towards. I know that this may not be what everyone that's listening to this wants to do with their life. You may be happy where you're at. You may not want to make changes. I don't think you'd be listening to this if you didn't want to make changes, because like that's all we fucking talk about. But it might not be as intense as what I went through this past year and have been working towards even before then. But if there's something that you take away from hearing just a little bit of my experience and the work that I've been putting in, is that change is possible. If you want to, if you don't want to really make changes with your job, make changes with your friends, like what you're doing on the weekends, whatever, you just want to make changes with your body maybe this next year. The results don't come right away. There's going to be such a long period of time where you don't get to see results, whether it's your body, whether it's your career, whether it's whatever you want in this world. You are going to be tested. There is going to be a period of time where you don't see any changes, and that is a part of the process to then when you get to the other side and then you recognize the changes. Like, I feel like we live in a world where we just start to do something and we expect immediate results. And that's where we fumble. That's where we get distracted. That's where we avoid, because when we don't see immediate results, we think we're failing. But what failing is not continuing to do it to get to the results. You have to do it long enough to get to the results, and no one ever knows how long that's going to be. But how bad do you want it? If this is something that you really want, whether it's a change in your body, your lifestyle, your career, relationships, whatever it is, if you truly want this change, the change isn't going to go anywhere. Like I just said, my New Year's resolutions were probably the same every single year, but this is the first time where I can say I actually followed through with them to make it just like I continue to work through them into the next year. If you really want it, you're always going to want it. So you're always going to have to work towards it. And I think the process of not seeing the changes, that's what that sets you up for. Like, that process of not seeing results is showing you want this change. You've always wanted this change. You're always going to want this change. So you need to get used to working towards it forever. And you need to make it, you need to like change these habits and make it a lifestyle. I feel like working towards like your body goal, that's one that like most people can probably relate to. And my body this past year, I didn't get it to exactly where I want it to be, but I got it to a really good place that I'm happy with and that I feel like I can continue to grow it next year. I was pretty consistent with working out all year, with meditating, and I feel like with meditating, breath work, ladies, we don't even recognize how we don't breathe properly and how that causes bloating, how that causes stress, and how that fucks with our self-image of our body. I can get into that in a whole different episode because I've learned a lot when it comes to the female body. And I feel like meditating and working out really helped me get to a good place this past year. And it doesn't mean that I was consistent every single day. There was definitely some weeks where I fell off, but I came back. The comeback was always greater than the setback. And that's what real consistency is that you don't give up. But this time last year, I was not in the best place with my body. I wasn't consistent with working out. I remember I went 2 months without working out and eating whatever. And once the new year hit, I wanted to never be in that place again, because I know that when you're in that place with your body where you try to work on it and then you stop for a long period of time, and then you try and then you stop, you are so negative in your mind and you don't see a solution of how you're going to grow because you stop for too long of a time to be able to see results. But if you're constantly doing it, you're not worried because you're like, okay, even if I don't look my best today, I know I'm still working towards it. And I think that applies to every area of your life. Like, as long as you're working towards it, you don't need to be making extreme results like that. It doesn't need to be drastic, but you do need to be constantly working towards it so that if there is a time and place where you can see results, you are in that position to be able to see some motherfucking results. We love results. We love it. We love them. But until you see the results, you're setting the habits. And those habits, they are what can create results that we can't even dream of, that we don't even know exist for us. So this past year was my internal year. I worked on really healing myself, figuring out who the fuck I am, trying to become so secure with that person and love that person, sit with discomfort. And now I am ready to take on this new year. I'm ready to throw the fuck down, show the fuck up, and see where these habits that I created this past year are going to take me. I know there's going to be more low moments. I know there's going to be high moments, but I feel like I do have a foundation now where I can't be pulled out of my patterns that I've created to work on myself. And that's pretty fucking exciting. I really don't think I've ever been in this place before in my life. I think that I didn't even know I could work towards a bunch of different goals for an entire year, you know? Yeah, now. Well, new year, not new me. New year, the most me I've ever been in my entire life. I'm so excited to see what another year can do with my life, with the podcast, with us all growing together. I know there's stuff happening behind the scenes. And I know there's some pretty exciting things in store. And I know there's more to come. So let's finally grow this next year. And let's have more growth to fucking talk about next year and every single day until the next new year arrives. Okay. I love you. I hope you liked this episode. It was short and sweet today. We have some fun things coming. I will see you soon. You will see me soon. I will be looking at myself in the meantime with a microphone. Goodbye.